they want? Mm, mm, mm. Okay, let's see. Let's see who they want. Let's see. Let's see who they want.
It's time to see who they want. I'ma kick back and roll me a blunt with the culture. We know it's trending. It's over. I can't respect your feelings. I touch your shoulder. Fuck your feelings. We the culture. We know who they want. Who they want. We know who they want. Who they want.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, guess who's back like your favorite sitcom? You know who it is. It's Mr. Who They Want, DJ Steady. Are you ready? Live in the building. And this is another special episode of Live with DJ Steady and Company. And I brought forth a lovely guest, you know what I'm saying? She's a businesswoman, she's a media mogul. She holding it down for Glass Talent Entertainment Management Company. She's doing big things for Toledo, doing big things for Ohio and making all kind of moves. I'm here with Miss Debra Sue. How you doing, lovely?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure, man. Shout out to that man, Jonathan Coleman, man. He be out here making all kind of boss moves, making sure that everybody gets a chance to enjoy some engaging conversations. And you coming fresh off your healthy talk with your guests on your
Right.
show into the studio with Mr. Who They Want. So it's just a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Yes, my podcast is called Toledo to the World with Debra Sue, and I am on every Thursday at 6 o'clock on streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as Roku. And just happy to talk about my city, but more importantly, I'm happy to invite others into our city. We have to have more cohorting with individuals from city to city. We all are one race, one blood. We all need to get to talking about and praising each other and giving our flowers to one another while we're still here.
Oh man, that's a big way to kick off the show. Absolutely. I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? As a fan of Bob Marley's art, that one love, one heart, definitely. If we can get more into that spirit, I feel like we can make the world for us a way better
For
place.
sure. For sure.
So tell the audience, for those who don't know, tell them what made you the mogul, outstanding businesswoman that you are
Well,
today.
you know what? I would don't know if I would refer to myself as a mogul, but I will say I do a lot. I have always had a high level of energy. My background is actually a medical. I come from the medical field. Worked in radiology, did that for a couple of decades, and when I got done with that, I decided to sit down and figure out what I wanted to do in my free time. Since I had time on my hands, and so I initially hopped into a hair salon. I opened up a salon. It was hair and nails, and so I still have that to this day. But more importantly, I looked around and I saw what was happening in my city. With the high number of deaths, in particular amongst the African American community and the young men. And so I created a company called Glass City Talent 419, and I actually ended up within a year signing approximately 19 artists to the label, and I arranged for tours around the United States. A lot of those tours, I drove the bus. We got invited to several states. I have friends far and wide in the media industry, and so we went out to St. Louis with Big Hef, and they had a situation out there, and one of my artists took first place, and we ended up on a radio station there with another friend of mine that was in St. Louis, and so we got invites from there to go to New York and Baltimore and other places. And so, I did that for several years. And as I told you earlier, pre-show, I really felt with the amount of time that was being put in on the road and the amount of time that I was, giving of myself, that I really could not give myself 100% to 19 people. Because, it kept me on the road. It kept me in studios. We were performing in New York, and I was traveling more than they were because I'm the manager, so that got a little tiring, not only on the body but also on the pocket. So I decided it was a
Right.
hard decision for me to make the decision to cut back, but I did need to clean house, and I managed to cut down to 4 or 5 individuals who were living up to the same and giving me, delivering the same energy that I was putting into them. And so that's what I work with now. And you have to understand, not only do I do that, but I'm a publishing company. I've published books and help edit and illustrate books for individuals, not just in Toledo, but beyond Toledo. And at this point in my life, I've become involved in some city projects. I sit in a couple seats for the city, including a non-for-profit, actually three non-for-profits. And so I'm executive director for one, and I'm board director and board vice chair on two others. So I'm very heavily involved in what's happening in the city as far as development is concerned. But I have a non-for-profit that I focus on in one of the most underserved areas in Toledo, the Vistula area. And so I do things like Jazz Fest and block parties and kids give coat giveaways, turkey giveaways. We do this once a year. We do a lot for the community. And so, even though I left a 40, 50 hour a week job, I still stay just as busy now because um it's sort of a calling for me at this point, and I'm a lot happier in what I do because it's my time to do with as I'm kind of being directed to do, So yeah, I do a lot in addition to the podcast. So mogul, I don't know about a mogul, but busy woman that I am. And I have three grandchildren, so and I keep them. They're my weekend projects. So I'm raising young kings and queens. My granddaughter, who is 7, just put out her first book on Amazon called Zion's Room, and she'll be signing.
Okay.
She'll be at a book signing party event that's being hosted by one of our very, very, very social. In fact, the lady's name is Social Butterfly. Donetta Carter puts on these huge events, and my granddaughter will have a table where she's signing autographs and selling books. As granddaughter selling books as well. So I'm very proud to set the example for her to be, even at her young age, a strong businesswoman. Interested in her finances and interested in her in a career. They're just good kids, and they're all very smart. And I feel like if you put opportunity before children, then when they have choices, then they stay busy. The mind stay busy. But if you don't put opportunity before kids, they never know what they can do.
Wow. Whew, man, I'm telling you, that is incredible, and I gotta commend you for doing all that. Man, you took, leaving the medical field and, instead of just being one of them retirees that leaves it and just sits back and, go boating and travel the
Yeah.
world. Well, you still got to travel the world, but still keep yourself busy. That's an amazing
Yeah,
testimonial
you
to
know
just
what?
give
If
right
you
out
if
the
you
gate. I
stay, I
salute
really
you.
do believe that, as we age in life, to keep that brain young and to keep that body young, when you retire, you just sitting around is not an option. You now have time to really take care of your body and to take care of your mind and to take care, your mental and your spiritual and all of that. You have time to do that. Even if you never get a chance to really fully retire, you must not allow your mind to become idle, because once you do that, then we all age. Let's face it. We all get older. We're going to get older. We move toward that phase in life. That is the circle of life. But aches and pains befall everybody. How do you handle that? Do you get up and get moving and try and beat it, or do you coddle to it and give up? And I've never been a person to give up on anything in my life. And I feel like the body and the imperfections that we suffer and we have to deal with, we deal with them, and we can overcome many of them just in change of lifestyle.
Absolutely. Me being, sharing my story about, overcoming being a person with spina bifida and now, coming up on a year as a now an amputee. Yeah, you get that fighter spirit not to give up no matter what obstacles, you get in life. And they be like, man, how can you go through so much as a young man and you still find reasons to smile and be happy? I said, because God ain't through with me yet. He knows
That's
my end
right.
of my storybook. So if it was supposed to stop here, then it should have stopped a long time ago.
Absolutely. And the fact that you recognize that is really, that's a testimony to, to your waking up to what you know to be true. You could have given up, but you didn't, because you were motivated to do something else, to get up and to keep moving and to make something happen. And that's a large part of that, is opening your eyes to what's happening and accepting what's happening, and then finding alternative means of dealing with things in your life. I'm one of those kind of people. They say make applesauce out of apples, or orange juice out of oranges, whatever, lemons out of lemonade out of lemons, whatever. That really is true. Whatever you have in your life that you may not necessarily think, why me? Why is this happening to me? Instead of that, you throw that why me in a jar, throw some sugar and some lemons in it, you just deal with it. You deal with it. It doesn't mean the problem will go away, but it doesn't mean you give up on life either. It means you go ahead and you gain that determination, knowing that, look, you couldn't be here at all. It may be a situation that you could have just left this earth altogether, and you didn't. Why not? You didn't. Why not? Because there's more for you to do. That's why.
Indeed, indeed, and just crossing paths. That's why you love the journey about meeting
Yeah.
people, and you get to learn their story, and it inspires you. It gives that tapestry. So when I get on podcasts, it's like, man, I created a brand that people from all walks of life, no matter what their background is, can come and just talk about real stuff we're
Yep.
dealing with. Like you said, you a building this mass company, and having realizing before it got overloaded, hey, I need to make some cuts, in
Mhm.
order for me to be mentally
Yep.
stable to be competing and going forth. And it's not like, oh, I just dissed everybody and said no. It was an executive decision that, hey, look, I got to make some changes to the board.
Mhm.
I'm overran, and this is how it's going to go
Yes.
moving forward. So
Yes.
what are some of the mental challenges you deal with when you have to face with certain executive decisions that weigh on your shoulder?
Well, you know what? A lot of it, like I said, I really had to mentally deal with downsizing. You have a company and you have to downsize. It's not failure. It's not at all, especially when you have to do it to survive your mental. You have a mental situation you have to survive, and it could be financial too. If you stay on the road a lot, you put on shows that you're financing. You have costumes, you have equipment to buy, and it can get expensive doing what I do. Okay. And in that respect, the human side of me says, hey, are you using this time wisely and fairly with the rest of your artists? Because I had some really good artists, and they were in high demand, and then of course you got the in-house bickering. Well, yeah, that person's going here and going there, where they're there because they put the work in and people are requesting them. It's not me who's doing it. They're being requested because they meet the energy, and they're taking care of the business aspect of their portfolio. That is a huge thing for me. If you don't take care of the business aspect of your portfolio and all you want to do is hop on a stage, we can't work together. We cannot. You've got to establish your business. You've got to establish your copyrights. You've got to establish your persona. You have to have, your professional photographs done. You have to, when I say we're going to meet with somebody at a record label, it means you come dressed appropriately. You're not, so high that you can't think about what you may be asked. Many times executives want to talk to a person that has a manager. They don't want to hear from the artist, but they want to see the artist. They've already heard the artist's music, but they want to know what your business portfolio looks like. Can we work with you? Do you know what you're doing? Do you have legal representation? I have a lawyer on my team, so we go over contracts, we go over multiple things that are involved. It's not just about performances, it is truly about a business. And so in that respect, that's kind of how it was easy for me to make the cut for half of the folks that I was dealing with, because they had years to put their business portfolios together, and I walk them down a straight line as to how to do it, and it didn't get done. And so at that point, I was giving more energy than what was coming back to me, and so it had to be,
Okay.
done. And so, because I was wearing on my mental, because it was like, I really love these people, I still love them to this day. But again, I say it is about the business. It's not about personal relationships or personal feelings. When you own a business, you really have to treat everybody as if they're part of the business, or we're doing a business contract together. And if we can't fulfill the contract, then we need to sever the contract. It's still all love, and we'll all, you need me, I'm here. But as far as getting my energy, some people just couldn't get that anymore. It didn't mean I did not love them. It just mean I had to really give my energy to those who were really putting the work in. So yeah, it did mess with my mental a little bit, but it was a relief after it was done. I prayed about it, and a lot of things just got answered for me before I even, put the thing into effect. And when I did, it all fell into place. I was able to open up a recording studio after that, to still help people. And then I just cut down on the tours, and I was able to deal with a couple record labels, one on one, if you will, and independently with some artists.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. You're right, because even like again, using me an example, like even when it comes to certain things in friendships
Hmm.
and stuff like that, there's a time and a place for me to have certain conversations with certain
Hmm.
people. Not everybody gets a certain version of me, and I know it can come off weird, but it's like, look, I know who to talk business
Hmm.
with my business
Hmm.
friends. I know who to clown and joke with the clown friends. So that saying with what you was doing was understanding that people look at the business side.
Hmm.
We can lollygag and play and shoot the breeze all day, but can you handle business? Do you understand what a 360 deal is? You know, I'm booking all these tours, but there come a day you might be sick and might not be able to make
Right.
it, and you need to have infrastructure in place for these people to still get it done
Absolutely.
equally and
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah, because they had my name and my company attached to them. So when I say, "Hey, I can't go on this particular excursion," I expect you to carry yourself in a professional manner as well, even though I am not there. You know what time you have to go on. You know how you are supposed to appear. You know that you should have merch with you. You know that you have to deal with the public. You have to get out here and you have to shake hands and you have to sign autographs if it's that. But more importantly, you've got to work a room. I can't always be the one to do that, because it's your career, not mine. I've had my career already, and I'm out here helping other individuals to try and get to a place. And even if it is just for fun, for some artists, some of them just do it for fun. Well, don't waste your money paying me if it's just for fun, because I can do local shows all day and you can just make fun. But at what point do you want to make money? At what point do you invest in yourself? And you must invest in yourself, because that's not my job. I invest my time and my energy into you, but I'm paid for that. It's not a friendship thing here. This is a business. And I've had family, even with, I've dealt with my younger nephews. They wanted to get into some stuff. It's the same thing for them. I lay the same criteria on the table for them. This is a business, and it is treated as such. And if you don't want to deal with me on that level, then you probably should step out of this arena, because this is how I operate.
Exactly. Like this, and people gotta understand that too. Like when you go from, if you know me on a personal level, like when I'm in business mode and you put that Miss, Mister, or whatever that CEO title
Mhm,
in front of me,
mhm,
I command my room. I command that
mhm.
respect. You can't come up there with the what's up attitude, like, we chilling at the
Yeah.
house. It's not. It's raise your hand and I will address you accordingly. And shout out to the Duchess. She's a great friend and my big sis, and she had to teach me a lesson in that when I was going on this
Mhm,
podcast journey
mhm.
and how to separate, friendships from tying into what you're
For
doing
sure.
with the business. Because she saw the potential where I was trying to take my
Yeah.
brand with it and how I wanted to go from not just sitting around just having conversations of everyday life
Mhm,
to, sitting down with wonderful people like you. And just recently I'm dealing with finding out that the original name Who They Want, it's trademarked by someone in a whole nother
mm.
state that just trademark it. And my big sis, she calls me the other day and she fusses at me immediately, like, you didn't trademark the name? And I'm like, when I got at the time, like my first year was like in 2021 when I reached my first year of podcasting, I put an LLC behind it because I thought that's what you do. You go grab an
Mhm.
LLC. I'm branding it as a business. I never really kept up with all the legal stuff. See, that's why you say you got to put people in the room that know business.
Exactly.
I'm one of them people that I know some things, but I don't know
Yeah.
everything. I was just like, I wanted it to sound good and whole trademark. And granted, I haven't been hit with anything legally, honestly. It just was like,
Yeah.
if I do manage to do anything monetizing with Who They Want podcast, it's gonna now be like a percentage gonna have to go to this person because they trademarked the name. So now we in the lab
Hmm.
working on something rebranding. So you got any thoughts on, dealing with trademark and branding for businesses?
You know what? I think honestly it takes a while for a person to even get to that point, because when you start businesses, no kidding, you will change so many times because you evolve, and the first maybe name that you gave your company no longer fits your mission. So you'll do it again. I do not advise someone to hop into paying eight, $900, $1,200 for trademarking unless you're absolutely serious that that's what you want to stick with for the rest of the duration of what you're doing. Um, I would say give it a year, although you've been doing it for more than a year. It's not a whole lot to just put in that little, it's like music, and copywriting with music copyrights. You can have something very similar, but you got to give it a little twist so that you don't lose, the fact that you've been using it all this time. You just have to put a little twist on it to make it just a little bit different. Rather add the in there, or something else that includes your name. You just got to twist it out a little bit different. But yeah, when you put something catchy out there like what you have right now, you will find that you'll have people hopping on that and they'll take it from you. They will, because people are, not to say that the people that now have your that are using your brand as a trademark now, not to say that they're dishonest. Maybe they didn't know, but when you find a catchy name and a catchy tune like that, yeah, if you didn't trademark it or put some rights on it and it gets stolen, it's really kind of on you that you didn't do it, especially if that's what you think that you want to keep for the next 10, 15 years and may blow up. Myself, even with Glass City Talent and with the podcast, I have so many things under one roof. I would love to just name everything one thing. And I've changed it several times. Even with the salon, I've changed the name three times,
Right.
three times. So just be sure it's what you want. And if you're gonna put money into investing your trademark logo and all that, then go ahead and just protect everything. But you'll find a way to do it. I'm sure you've gotten this far, and I'm sure you'll find a way to take care of it rather expeditiously, so that nobody does try to come after you for, some type of monetary situation.
Absolutely, because it just hit me with that low blow, and I think it kind of killed my confidence just a
Sure.
little bit, because I was already talking about a reboot, and I'm like, well, I already got over 300 episodes out there in
Yeah.
Pod Universe. I'm telling people, who they want is my name since like
Uh-huh.
2008, and then you go, but legally, it's a word. It was just one word, and you didn't grab it. So, my favorite music is Lil Wayne. So I'm like, nah, this is what an artist feel like when Lil Wayne was going through that thing with the
Yep.
word bling
Yep.
bling. And it was like, had we knew back then how big that word was going to become in the future, they would have trademarked and copyrighted it then.
Immediately.
So in a situation like that, I'm not mad. I'm more hurt than
Yeah.
mad because now I was like, now I got to work on something. And of course, who they want is still me. It's still a part of my brand. But like you say, coming with something catchy. So I'm like, I'm DJ Steady. So I'm just running with the moniker Live with DJ
Yeah,
Steady
yeah,
right now.
and you
But
and
like it
you can
still
still
works.
do who they want, but you want to do something like who they want slash who they got, or who they want is right is me. Who they want
Mm,
is me. You got to just you still have that recognizable title, but then you just have to change. It's like songs. You can name a song something, but everybody knows what it is. But you've got to make it personal to you as well. So it's only how you want to handle that. That's all.
I'm I'm loving it. See, I knew I was gonna be Jonathan. You the truth, man. You hooked me right with the right person I need to get some jewels from, my guy. Absolutely. So let's dive into the nonprofit organizations that you are invested
Well,
in
I
or
tell you
you
what, the
behind. Let's get into
nonprofit, the
that.
nonprofit that I actually started is called Historic Vistula Community Awareness Connection, and I am smack dab in the heart of the first community that was built in Toledo, Ohio. The building that I reside in was built in 1886, and so I'm a huge buff when it comes to historic properties, which is why I'm also a commissioner for the city of his and historic districts. So I am a commissioner. I sit on that board. We approve what can and cannot be done to historic homes and so forth. And so I've been on that board for approximately, well, I started out probably 5 years ago, came off during COVID, and I went back again this past year. But the building that I reside in is in the district. The first settled immigrants settled in this area in the 1800s, and so I really feel that it has been highly underrepresented and neglected, because just like all cities have these beautiful neighborhoods that fall into disrepair when folks move out and they go out to the suburbs, and there's nobody left to take care of the properties, and then you have blight that moves in, and crime and so forth. And so I've been over here for the last 15 some odd years fighting that and bringing the neighborhood, trying to bring the neighborhood back to life. We have huge investments coming into the area at this point. And we just had the streets repaid. It's a long process. That's what I want to say. But this past year, we gave our fifth annual Jazz Fest in the area. We did our third annual coat giveaway for the kids. We did our third annual turkey giveaway in November. We had the block party in June. We have our next block party coming up in June/July, where we're involving the business owners in the area. We got the four corner businesses that we're also going to involve in this thing. So a lot of planning for events and so forth. But I'm always proud of the block party because we draw a lot of kids. We rent bouncy houses. We have foot races. We have clowns and face painting, and we feed all the kids for free. We had 78 kids that we fed free last year. Hot dogs, chips, juice, water. And we plan on doing the same thing. So if you want to donate or look up the site, it's www dash I mean excuse me dot hvcac.com. That's www.hvcac, not HVAC. Okay, because a lot of people say HVAC, that's furnaces. That's not the same thing as hvcac.com. So that's how you can donate to that to help me continue to give back to the neighborhood. So that's one nonprofit that I sit on that I'm really proud of. I'm also a part of the Toledo Design Collective. I'm a vice chair there, where we actually help in the development of the city itself, master plans with the city. We represent certain neighborhoods. We get involved with that and city planning. And so I'm very happy to be a part of that as well. And also sit on a homelessness board for women and children, called Leading Families Home slash Focus. And we just opened our new facility, our second housing facility this year, that houses 70 people. And it is completely filled to capacity right now. Both of our locations are filled to capacity. So our executive director there, her name Jennifer. Jennifer is a wonderful, wonderful leader. She has great leadership skills. And so I sit on that board. I'm very happy to be a part of that. I'm very concerned with what's happening with grants and stuff being cut for nonprofits, because our nonprofits are what houses homeless people. Our kitchens for the poor, and same thing in your city. So we have to figure out ways to keep these organizations going, or we'll have more homelessness and more needy people. So yeah, I get myself involved in a lot of community projects that are important to me, that are important to the community. I don't involve myself so much in the political arena aspect of it, but I'm definitely
Right.
grassroots, where we can actually put hands on kids. We can actually try to make a difference in neighborhoods with elderly and disabled. And more, and helping women who are abused or who have no place to go with children. We found a lot of individuals who have found themselves homeless during COVID. They couldn't pay the bills. And once the lift came up where people didn't have to pay rent, a lot of these people ended up on the streets. And so, we helped house a lot of those people, but the program is not just about housing people. It's about getting folks back on their feet and back to work. This is not a one stop, come sleep here type deal. Nope. You put the work in, we help you get back on your feet. And that's how that goes. So, I could go on and on about the community involvement that I have, but those are the top three or four that I'm most active in, that I'm very, very proud of. Again, I also do publishing. I'm a publishing slash illustrator. I had a gentleman out of Columbus that I did his book. It was 482 pages. And it took us about 8 months to
Wow.
finish that book, and it's now up on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Went down and had a book signing, very successful book signing project for him. Had another one here in Toledo, a young man by the name of Jody Summers. He's an activist, and he's got three or four books up now. So very proud of him. And then, several people that I've done. I'm working on a cookbook now for an artist slash gourmet cook, if you will, chef. He's out in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So we're working together to put that together. He wants to do a cookbook, so that'll be my next project as far as publishing is concerned.
Oh wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing,
Not to
amazing.
mention, my 7-year-old
Kudos,
granddaughter
y'all.
just put her first book out called Zion's Room, and she's working on one right now called Zion and the miraculous pink dragon or something like that. But she's drawing the pictures and putting the words
Oh,
together now. So they're all kids books, very appropriate age appropriate for kids. And she's got one out, and my second granddaughter has a book out called Maya Maya, Where Are You? So, just opportunity to put before people, the kids, grown folk, whatever. If you have a dream and you want to achieve it, there's always going to be somebody out here to help you. You just got to find them.
I love it. Absolutely. And I feel like we need more of those people in the world. We need those ones that instead of douching the fire, they're going to keep the fire lit and, help you reach the next one and say, hey, look, I did this with, the help of these people
Absolutely.
to get me out there. Because I've got so many projects. I feel like my biggest issue is my procrastination. Like I have so many $1 million
Yeah.
ideas in
Yeah.
my head, and this is why I lose out and why trademarks and stuff go to other people because I be
Mhm.
sitting there and be having it and be ready to
Yeah.
go with it and nest on it for so long, and then the time I want to strike, it's already done by
Yeah.
somebody else. So I've been learning, moving forward to be more cautious and to jot things down a little more because sometimes I'll just say it in the midst of a
Mhm.
conversation with somebody and be like,
Mhm.
man, and then you mad when that person you conversated with then put it out there on the
Right.
forefront and you like, "Nah, we were just talking about that 2 years ago, and now they done did what I was supposed to
Yep,
have done."
it happens like that. It just happens. But it's a learning curve. Everything we do has a learning curve, and everything that you have done brought you to the point that you are right now. Maybe it just wasn't meant for you to have that. Maybe there's something else waiting for you that you're supposed to, attach to what you do. And I say that so often. If it didn't work out the first time, it was a learning curve. That's all. Everything that I have done, including my medical career, I take to the next position with me. Everything that I have, even working with the community, I know the importance of taking care of your health. I know the importance of looking out for, children's health, and watch out for certain things in the community, because and then that's why I took that patient aspect to everything that I have done, and then I brought that administrative aspect to everything that I have done, because when it comes to running a company, or running a department, or having people that you work with, and you got to kind of take the lead with it, everything that you do will transfer, those skills transfer to the next thing in life that you're going to do, and it just makes you better, and it makes you more informed, but it also shows you the mistakes that you've made. It shows you who not to trust. It shows you definitely don't trust in a job, because jobs are temporary. I don't care who you think you are, you can always be replaced. All of us are replaceable folks. Look at, you got a classic example of, of some federal, very highly skilled people who are losing their jobs now, who never thought they'd probably ever lose their jobs. But, you just have to adapt. It's not the end of the world when you lose a job. It's like you take those skills and you put them to use someplace else. There is a notch for everybody to fit in, no matter who you are and what you do. You will either fit into a notch somewhere else, or you create your own notch. You have a belt, and the belt gets a little too tight. You got to make it bigger. You force another notch in the belt. If you lose a lot of weight, you got to make another notch to make it fit just right. So, we all have notches that we'll fit in, and if we don't fit, then we make the notch, and we allow ourselves to become, who and what we want to be and what we want to do, especially when you have some time to do it. Finances is a whole different story. You got to figure out how you gonna work all of that with finances being maybe curtailed, or changed, but you have to start simple, and then eventually that rolls into something else, and eventually, like I told you, it rolls into something that's fit for you, and it just and then when it goes, it just takes off because that was for you. You just have to find it. That's all.
Absolutely. I love where this is going. We got a comment from Miss Nunu. She's saying, absolutely, we are able to create from what we have learned. I agree. We've learned. Like I've learned so much over the years. I was just telling a friend today on the phone, I'm like, I feel like I've been wiser beyond my years way before now. I was like, that's why I get frustrated about certain things I be wanting to do. Cause you're young and you go, I'm living in Houston, so he's like, man, you supposed to be out here in the nightlife, enjoying this and doing all that. And I'm like, I'm such a homebody. I'm like, I don't think I would fit in amongst the crowd of my own
Mhm.
peers because I just be like, it's 10, 11 o'clock. I'd be like, I'm ready to go home and be already in the bed type of life. Like that's who I've
Yeah.
become now. And it's like, cause I'm so in my
Hmm.
head. So I'm like, man, I could be home on podcast doing this. I want to do this. And I'm like, man, sometimes you gotta stop talking and just
Right.
do it. Like me
Yeah.
coming back, and I remember having a conversation with my sister. She was like, you should kind of prolong it a little bit longer than to come back, right
Hmm.
now. And I'm like, but everybody else
Hmm.
is already doing what they
Yeah.
doing. I'm like, all I'm keep for me, I'm competitive in my head, not against the
Right.
person. So when I'm seeing all my favorite podcasters, even you doing your thing, and I'm like, what I'm supposed to do? Just sit here all day and mope about life? Like, you gotta keep going. As you said, you gotta
Yeah.
keep finding what works for you. And I found podcast is like my therapy. And I love
Hmm.
people. I love talking. I love getting to know new stuff. Even if I don't know, I love just sitting there
For sure.
engaging.
For sure. I'm the same way. I've always been a natural born talker. I've never been afraid to be to give a presentation in front of people. One of my favorite things to do in college was to get up, and give debates. We called it debate teams or whatever. I love to knock your mind. I want to know what you think, and I want to get in your head. I want to know how we think alike. I want to know where you move, and if I need to move that way, and why you move the way you do. And I'm gonna tell you why I move the way I do. It's just a matter of individuality. It's never about debating for an argument. It's about brain stimulation. We are never, as human beings, ever going to agree with everything someone else does or says. Never. And if you are that person who agrees with any and everything somebody else says, you're a little bit confused. I will tell you, there's some confusion somewhere
For real.
because you're an individual and you are born to have, your own thoughts and your own opinions and life experiences. And my many years of living on this earth has taught me and formed different opinions about different things that I felt differently about 20 years ago. I feel differently and I feel strongly, and I know why I have changed my mind, and why I think the way that I do on certain things and about certain people. So, um, no, you talk about nightlife. I've done that for many years with the talent agency. I'm in clubs at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the road at 6 a.m. till the next morning, and I get all that. I've done that, and I'm at the point right now. I'm so busy I could not possibly do that for as many people as I've done that before. Um, I've never really been a homebody, but I do find myself home now more because I have grandkids in my life now. So no matter what, they come first. Family is always first with me, and more importantly, I have two girls and a grandson, and I want to show them and set the example for them to not just be good people, but to be caring people and to know that family comes first. But you need to develop your professionalism, develop your love of what you want to do. Whether you want to go to the Olympics. We're going to put that opportunity before you. We'll put you in training class. If you want to write books, we put that before you. If you want to sing, hey, your grandmother is all up in that. Let's see what you sound like, but you better put the work in. You know, if you want to learn how to ride
Indeed.
horses, we'll figure out how to make that happen. So for me, it's I have three other lives that I really pour my energy into now because I want them to look at their grandmother and say, hey, she was motivated. She went for what she wanted to do, and I want to be just like that and still have, I give them a safety net still, but I still want them to take chances. We have to teach our children children to take chances, but at the same time, more importantly, we have to teach them to respect adults, to respect opinions that may help them get to where they need to be, to respect their teachers, to take advantage of school and a great school opportunity of learning, and possibly college scholarships and so forth. Nothing's going to be given to you, especially now in this time. DEI is gone, so you're going to have to work very, very hard for what you want to do. Take advantage of all of that while it's at your fingertips, because once you get out of school, it's not there. It's not going to be there. So take
Yeah.
advantage of it now. So, we have to look at our young people and say, at what point do we stop being friends with our young people and we start being the adults that's going to help them make something of themselves in life? We have to mentor them properly. We have to keep them out of the streets and keep them busy. If we don't keep these kids busy, you see the results. We wake up every day and we got young people, that have been unalived, and they haven't even made it to 21 yet. We got to help them set priorities. We have to, more importantly, you know what? Young people are going to be young people, and they're going to mess up and they're going to do foolish things. We all did it. I hate that people are so critical of young people, because you did it too. You snuck out of the house. You did this and you did that, but did your parents give up on you? No, they did not. You got punished, you got a foot put on your neck, you had the whole summer in the house washing down walls. You had all of that. We've got to actually show our young people there are consequences to your actions. You can have good consequences, or you can have some difficult consequences. And I believe in that wholeheartedly, because I'm from a family of 7 kids. And we all have very successful careers, but guess what? Our parents still set us straight. They still to this day set us straight of what's accepted and what's not. And even though we're very, very grown, beyond grown, we still listen to that discipline. And
Right.
I think a lot of that has been lost on people. We've got to stop thinking so much about ourselves and start investing our time and our energy into our young. That doesn't mean you have to have a lot of money. It does mean you have to be willing to take time with your kids at night and sit down and read some books. It means you have to take time with your children at night and sit down and teach them some math, teach them some algebra, check their homework and do it
Yes.
with them. And if
Yeah.
you don't know how, get in a book and learn how. We got AI now. They'll show you how to do things. You can sometimes you got to grow smart with your kids, because a lot of us are many years out of school and some of the stuff they have now is kind of tough. But guess what? It can't be tougher than you. You got to help your kids get through that. And that's what we're about. That's what me and my family is about. We help these kids, and I see more young women doing that now. And I'm so proud of these young girls now, because even single moms, they are stepping in and stepping up with these kids. I'm seeing great things with these people, with some of these youngsters that are grown up. So, again, I'm passionate about what I say when it comes to young people, because it's really what I'm involved in. It's what I've been involved in,
Right.
and I have to give kudos where kudos are. I give kudos to my parents. I give kudos to folks around me who contributed to who I am today, guided me. And then once I got to take the reins myself, I took them and I ran with it. But we got to give these young people opportunities, because not too many of them are going to be before them once they hit 17, 18.
Oh, absolutely. And I was seeing on social media back in my hometown, there was a high school. Well, a big brawl just happened, at the school, and they put the school on lockdown, and parents they're furious. Some child got injured. So my thoughts and prayers go out to
Sure,
the injured
sure.
child. But, when those type of situations occur, it's always who did what, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? And parents, they gonna come protect theirs. So there ain't no who did and why. I'm coming to whoop everybody up in here. But just like you said, sometimes you have to think before you react sometime in those
For sure.
situations to know what led to these outcomes. I'm big on mental health when I try to mentor
Yeah,
some
for
of the
sure.
youth. And it's like you gotta be able to understand, like for these children to be attacking other kids, like bullying is still a thing. It's still there. Racism is still there. It's still effective. And if you're not talking to that
Yeah.
child, if you're not, getting involved in what are they after school
Mm-hmm.
activities, what are they doing in their classes? If you're not hands on with that child, when they have moments where they ready to tear up the whole
Right.
school, you want to fault the teachers and the staff and all of that without saying, well, why is my child
Mm-hmm.
angry? What is going
Right.
wrong? that lead to these occurring countless
Yeah.
times.
I just heard a story today about a young girl who was in school, and she was actually getting mental therapy in school, and her parents never knew about it. They never knew about it. And unfortunately, that child did unalive herself. And I was like, how do you, as a school, have a parent's child in your care and keeping with their mental health, but you don't involve the parents? I don't know how that happens. So I guess I say there was a lot of there was no safety net there for this child, I guess, or what she thought was a safety net wasn't. But
Right.
the parents have got to get involved with the mental health of these kids. Me, I'm of the opinion, you have this cyberbullying in my household. It's called turn that computer off. You're getting off. You're not going to continue to sit at a computer and you have cyberbullying, and I'm going to get you off. And then we're going to go to the school and have a real nice chat with somebody in the school, because y'all need to stop this. If you don't, we need to talk about some legalities here. you know Parents have got to step up for their kids. They don't even know what to do except to revert to violence, because now they want to fight their way out of a corner that they've been backed into. And so, yes, you have to find out the root cause as to why these things happen. And I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it out loud, a lot of it is because of non-involvement of the parents, period. It just is. It's not involvement of the parents, and it's also parents not curtailing these kids' associations. When your kids get to school, if they're associating with, a gang full of kids that all they want to do is, bully people or run around, and they want to be the boss hog of the class, what you think your child gonna end up eventually doing? And then they come home and they're that sweet little innocent child that you raised, but then you go to school and you find out all this information about your kid being the ringleader. you know because you took that. Listen, I say go to school, sit in class with your kids, do those regular parent teacher follows up, get your kids involved in sports, and guess what? You're at the games, you're sitting there in the games. Okay, you've got to get involved with these kids to know who your kids are. If you don't know who your kids are, that's your fault as a parent, and it may take they may hate you for it. Let them hate you for it, because
Absolutely.
they'll get past it. Me and my daughter, we tussled at 18 when she got out and went to college, and I stayed on her, and when she turned 21, she took me to dinner and said, "Mom, I love you. Thank you for the patience that you've been with, how patient you've been with me, and the times you had to discipline me. I realized it was tough." And she's a mom now, and she's like, "Mom, I'm so sorry." If this is what I put you through, I
For
am
real.
so sorry. And I'm like, no, you just roll with it. And we got to get them through those tough years. Getting the kids through these tough years right now could mean life or death for these kids, literally. You get them through that 17,
Yeah.
18, 21, and by 23, 24, 25, they start to really settle down and figure out what they want to do with their life. And then you still not done being a parent. You help them through that. The thing is help them live long enough to get through the nonsense, because all kids go through the nonsense, boys and girls. You help them get through that, and then you got something to work with. You're probably a wonderful individual that you never thought you had.
For real, I totally agree with that because that's what it is. It's, like Whitney used to say, I believe that children are the future. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta shed light on their darkness.
Absolutely.
You come in and you give them a hug. And like you said, stop trying to be so much of that friend in certain situations where you should have been a
Yep.
disciplinee instead of rewarding them for choices that they made wrong. That's why they go out and they can lash out and cut the holy monkey at
Right.
school or in sociable places because they like, look, I'm mama's angel. I'm daddy, this and
Hmm.
that. So they believe that my mama and them know I don't do no
Yeah.
wrong. But you at school doing wrong, that teacher ain't gonna say nothing. Then when the teacher say something, the teacher lying, mama.
Yeah. Exactly. We'll get to the bottom of this. We're gonna see who's doing what and who's not doing what. And you have your situations where the children are out here and they suffer, some discrimination even at the hands of some of the teachers. And if you're involved enough, you'll see that you may have to move your child. You may have to go and sit in class a couple days and check everybody out, and see what's going on. Or do they have all the certain kids sitting over here and all these other certain kids? It's some things you may have to have really some keen insight to see what's going on in these schools. You may have to get involved and say, you know what, I don't like this setup. Now I don't want to be disrespectful to this teacher, but I'm about to pull my child from this class. That's your right as a parent. But when you got to get the thing is get involved. You have to get involved. That's just it. You got to be present and you've got to get involved.
Indeed. We got another comment from Miss Nunu. She says, involvement in our children's and grandchildren's lives is key. You will see the difference in those who are not involved.
Absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely.
110%. I do agree. You see the difference when the kids do not get number one, the love, number two, the discipline, number three, the direction. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people believe in this timeout, this, that, and the third, but what your kids needs are discipline. You've got to discipline them. Sometimes you got a stronghold, especially when they become teenagers and they want to overrule you. You got to show them, listen, I'm still the boss here. We can sit down and we can discuss and we can negotiate, but you're still going to do what I say in my household. I would never suggest anybody
Absolutely.
put their child out on the street because you don't want to throw your kids to the dog. They're not a piece of meat. You work with them and you figure out how you can help them, but you don't give up on your kids. You never give up on them, even when they're in their 20s and they're grown. If we get into our 30s, we remember calling our and asking our mom and dad for help for something, and they help. Why is that different now when your child needs help or they need you to help them navigate an issue? Now if it's something that they foolishly get into and they got to answer to the law or something, then that has to be so too. It's the result of what you got into. Doesn't mean I love you any less, but you will pay the Pied Piper if you want to walk around leading a bunch of rats into the river. You have to pay. You have to pay for some of the things that you do, but then how do you handle your life once we get you through this? Did you learn a lesson from that? Now let's get you on the right track. And unfortunately, people, because of who they
Indeed.
associate and hang out with, it will lead them down the wrong road. And don't be afraid to get with them little youngsters these kids hang out with and tell them don't come to your house no more. Don't be afraid to step up when you see somebody's not good for your child that they're associating with. Don't be afraid to cut that relationship because that's a relationship your child may not need.
Indeed. So don't be afraid to step up to Keisha and tell her Leroy you can't hang out
That's
with Leroy
right.
no more.
That's right.
Because sometimes it's an
That's
influence,
right.
and it's not judging nobody's parenting. It's just what you may condone for your child doing, that opposite parent don't condone their child
Exactly.
doing. And when they collaborate together and they friends, they keep but then like you said, those mistakes that go unlooked, and then you get into them legal wham
Yeah.
bams, there's kids now, what, 13, 14, that can be tried as
That's right.
adults now.
That's right. And I'll be the first to tell you, what we talk about from the school system to the piped right into the jail system. If you don't want that to happen and if you don't want your child barely getting out of school and end up in the legal system, you better step in at a very young age and take some direction in that child's life because it's natural for a kid to want to just go with the flow. And if the flow is doing stuff that they should not be doing or participating in, drinking at parties at underage or hanging out at night after curfew. If that's where the flow is going, if you're not disciplining and directing your child, they're going to go with the flow. Children will always go to with the path of least resistance. They will always do that. You did it. I did it. We all did it. And so now we know that they've got even more pressure on them now because they've got the social media. They've got, they see things on TV with the young girls dressing way older than their age and the young boys doing, kids being parents at 12 and 13. If you don't step in, they're going to go with that flow. If you want something different for your child, you got to show them something different, but you also have to step in with that discipline and say, we're not doing that. We're not dating at 12. We're not going on single dates at 13 and
Oh, no.
14. That's not getting ready to happen. And I know there's some parents out there that disagree with me. I know you do, and that's okay. It's your right to do. But in my household, this is how I do mine. That's how I did mine. And fortunately, my daughter has the same ethics in her household. It's a thing. When you see what
Yeah.
works, then why not follow that pattern? If you don't want, certain things to happen with, less than positive outcomes for your children, you better take note of what some people who do have successes in their life do. That's not to say I haven't had issues with my daughter or my nephews, and we did, but you know what? We worked through it and we got them back on that path. They veered off a little bit. They just veered off a little bit, like we all do. And then we got to help them get veered back on that road. It's like when you fall asleep at the wheel of a car. That could be deadly for you when you veer off. It could be deadly, or you could get
Yeah.
very hurt or damage some property. But at some point, somebody either nudges you or you hear a horn honk, somebody's trying to wake you up and say, "Hey, you wake up because you're veering off. You're going the wrong way. You're gonna hit something." That's our job as parents to do that. To use
Absolutely.
that analogy, it's our job to steer these kids in the right direction. And when we see them veering off a little bit, bump them, bump them back onto the right direction, and say, "Hey, is that really something you want to do? Do you really want to do that? Sit here and think about what the consequences are of what you're doing. And if that's not what you want to do, let's think of something else, a different way or a different method for you to achieve your goal, because this is not it."
Absolutely, especially to the single parents. You definitely want to kind of work double
Mhm.
time because I get it. It's hard, it's stressful, it's a single parent, but kids sometimes often see the
Sure.
unseen too. They often hear what they shouldn't be hearing at the same
Absolutely.
token. So sometimes you need to be
Mhm.
mindful, of the way you present things to these children because that can also affect how they
Absolutely.
lead. The difference between, hearing all that over the phone and man, I can't wait to go to school the next day. I ain't getting on that bus when it's time to go
Right.
home.
Yeah.
I'm detouring. But when you're an active parent or you have that conscious mind, like, hey, I'm gonna call to that school and let so and so know, make sure my child gets on that bus. I know these are the groups of people that they normally hang with.
Absolutely.
And again, this is no judgment zone. But if we don't be that force field
Hmm.
now, there's going to be more flower bringings and more of these incarcerations that we don't need on our
Absolutely.
people.
I'm so tired of seeing it. It hurts my heart to see T-shirts and flowers on the corner, on the pole, this, that, and the third. I am beyond saddened as to what is happening with these young people. And again, so much of it is so preventable. It really is preventable. Um, some things we leave in God's hands, but what He gave us a gift in these kids, and it's our responsibility to take care of the gift. There are folks out here who can't even have children and wish they could have kids, and some of us have kids and we don't even do our kids do justice. They're ours to take care of temporarily. They're never ours to have forever. They were a gift for us to have, and when we have them, we've got to fulfill our obligation. However it happened, okay. However, planned or unplanned, they are ours to take care of. And if you feel like you
Absolutely.
can't fulfill that responsibility, well, then there's a situation with you that you need to take care of.
Indubitably, you know what I'm saying? And as much as I can, parents, if y'all want, need some help, some therapy, at least I can offer some advice. Feel free to email me at whodayWantPodcast@gmail.com. And, I would take on the responsibility of connecting you to a wonderful person like Miss Deborah here that will be happy to give you some advice, some pointers to help shape you or, connect you to some particular
Sure, for
resources to
sure.
help, your
Yeah,
family.
I
It's too
operate in a
much. Like
no
you said.
judgment zone. I really do, and I know sometimes I may be a little forward in how I feel. I'm very passionate about these kids. It was just one reason why I started my nonprofit in an underserved area. I invested in the area to help show these kids something different. I'm a no judgment zone, but I am also moved and behooved to say things when I see things that may be a problem on the parents' part. Kids are kids. Kids are kids. They're not here to make
Right.
their own decisions. They are not 10, 11, 12, 13, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you think it's cute to watch these kids on videos cussing, and half wearing clothes and jumping on other kids and videotaping in this fourth and fifth grade of jumping on teachers. I'm sorry, people, and I'm not sorry. That's not acceptable behavior, period. It's not. And if you think it is, let's talk about it, because there may be some therapy that you as a parent need to seek to figure out why your child is acting the way they do. If that's the way, maybe the way you act, maybe it's what they see at home. So, it's okay. It's okay. The thing is recognition first. You recognize, hey, there's an issue here and I need some help trying to get this thing under control.
Absolutely. I'm becoming more and more of an advocate of we need to start having these type of
Mhm.
conversations. We need to have these level of comfort honesty. You know what I'm saying? It's too much of the hittens. I can't say it around you, but I can get to school and say it around that
Exactly.
person. And by the time the parent catches on, it's
Yeah.
too late. There's suspensions involved or expulsions or
Hmm.
worse. Sometimes we don't our eyes are never open until it's worst case
Yes.
scenario. And then, we want to play the blame
Mhm.
game when sometimes your first teaching starts at
Right,
home.
exactly.
You learn your rights from wrong at
Mhm.
home. What they say, when the stove I used to get hot and it red
Yeah,
and it lit up and you touch it, what your parent tell
that's
you,
right.
that's too hot. You knew not to keep going when it was
Uh-huh.
going red. You
Yep.
know, we didn't go. Street lights came on from the era of when that street light came on. You knew it was time to be on your front
Exactly.
porch or in that house.
Exactly. Yep, I remember those times too. Because
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you, my mother may have had a lot of kids, but she was like a mother hen. She knew where we were at all times. And when those street lights came on, she was counting one, two, three. Where's that other one? How dare you? When you come back, all of you all better come back. Because there, and that was a level of accountability that our parents placed on us for each other. You take care of your brother and your sister. Because if you come back and something happened to one of them and you were there, then you're in trouble too. There's a situation of accountability between siblings as well. We have to take care of our younger brothers and sisters if we're the oldest, or even if we're the middle, whatever. Accountability between each child. So, and parents should demand that of their kids. If they have more than one kid, teach them accountability as well. It's not one for one, it's all for one. And that's how I was raised. It's all for one in here. And one comes back, I better see the other six of you somewhere along within walking distance. So
Real fast.
real fast, exactly. So,
Man, I'm telling you, it's a pleasure. It's a joy. Like, my sister shared something on social media one day, and she tags me in it, and it was like, name that childhood moment where you done something to the other sibling, but y'all both got in trouble. And we recanted the exact moment of a confrontation we had, and thinking because Mama worked the late night shift, Mama was supposed to come home
uh-huh.
and forget, and Mama come home and I see the house was so quiet, I could literally hear when my mama flicked the light switch, and she coming in your room, and it's not going to be a pleasant visit.
And parents back then didn't forget one single thing. If they told you, if they're 6 hours later, if they're in your presence, oh, I didn't forget. No, we got a date together. Me, you, and whatever we got coming for you. We got a date. I ain't forget.
Man,
But you know
it
what?
was just
That's
crazy.
that's
She got
also part of
all
keeping your word. It may be some discipline you really don't want to distribute, but your kids have to understand that you say what you mean and you mean what you say. Yeah,
oh
and
yeah,
that's how it was. And for many parents today, it's like that now. When I say something, I mean it, and I mean what I say. I walk the talk that I talk, and they know how far to push you and they know how far to stop. But if you just allow your kids to say and do anything around you, well, then the consequences are what you're going to have, and they're not going to be what you desire.
yes indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we have reached the end of this wonderful conversation of Live with DJ Steady and Company. But it's about time for us to wrap this up, for those of us who like late night suppers or want to catch a late night show. But I want to thank my lovely guests for coming and hanging out with me. This has been a very educational and interesting conversation. And I look forward to hopefully bringing you back and we can sit down and chit chat some more. Or you can
Oh,
invite
for
me over to
sure.
your
I'm
network.
ready. I'm ready anytime. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all got a lot from tonight's conversation. Make sure you support the kids, support the youth, support real dreams. Let's make real dreams great again. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
And
That's right.
before we get out of here, I had to deal with a situation with calling a friend of mine because I had recently had got my prosthetic leg, and it was one of them situations where in my mind you think you just pop it on and you just supposed to get up and you just supposed to be out there, Forrest Gump in it, and then I put it on and you trying to at least find your balance and set up, and my friend had to go, don't set those impossible goals right
Yeah.
now. Work on, baby steps with it. Learn on getting used to putting it on,
Yeah.
standing up. And then, as you progress and you get into some physical therapy, then you can do all those things. And then I'm
Yeah.
frustrated because you go, well, I waited 8 months for this. And now I'm like, it done got to the point now where I be looking at it like, do I really want to put it on today or what?
Couldn't wait for it. Now you just you good. You wait. Huh?
You get it now, and you go, okay, mission accomplished. I got it. Now what?
That's
Put it on
right.
when I'm going out in public. It's
That's
becoming it's
right.
good for photos, but nah, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do with it. Let me stop saying too much before I get in trouble. Like, so you lied to us, huh? You ain't want to use it. Nah, but ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Before I get cut off or get distracted too much in my own personal life, we love y'all. Peace and blessings. Good night. See y'all in the next pod.